Talladega Superspeedway. Who will join Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick in the round of 8? Race coverage at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Dale Earnhardt Jr. once again will be joining us in the booth for a portion of the race telecast. And as the 78 is getting pushed back through the garage, let's go down to Mike Massaro.
And Rick, it was an eventful day for the competition department with NASCAR, beginning with the 78 of Mark Truex Jr. He ends up on the pole, but we understand that before qualifying began, that perhaps some parts were taken for further inspection by NASCAR. What can you tell us, Scott?
Yeah, they had a jack bolt that we didn't feel like met the specifications that we have in the rule book. Not a real competitive advantage. And what we'll do with that one is we'll take it back to the R&D center and go through our normal process like we do, analyze everything, and decide what we're going to do. You know, it's no different than the JGR cars or cars that, you know, failed the templates and had to go back through. It's our job to officiate the sport and make sure everything's right in this part, and the rest of today's activities are no different than we do every weekend.
Of course, with this being the playoffs and there being potential implications on the championship, I need to ask you if this could potentially result in a points penalty for the 78.
I would say it would be unlikely, but it has to go through our process. We don't typically do that on a weekend. This is really, because it is the playoffs, everybody has a heightened sense of everything, but this is no different than things that we've done all year, and we will treat this one just like we do all year long.
You alluded to it in your answer, talking about the JGR cars being taken off the grid and being further inspected. What can you tell us about that situation?
That was again has happened before when our inspectors see something that they suspect was manipulated after inspection was over. You'll remember several times we pulled cars off the grid and had them go back through inspection and rectify the problem.
What did you see once they did go into inspection? How far out of compliance were they?
It wasn't big. It never is. But, again, we pride ourselves in trying to do a good job, and it doesn't have to be big to be an infraction. It just has to be fair for everybody, and that's what we strive to do.
Thank you for your time, Scott.
Yes, thank you.
Scott Miller, NASCAR Vice President of Competition, guys.
Yeah, NASCAR's job is to make sure everybody's playing by the same set of rules. If they feel like somebody's not, it's their job to enforce it. So the teams are going to constantly push it. NASCAR's got to keep their eyes open and make sure nobody's getting an advantage.
Yeah, and you heard Scott say he had an opinion on the 78 that he didn't think it would be points. He used the word unlikely, but left it open to go through the process. NASCAR has these processes during the week when all these parts are reviewed. We're going to have to wait like everyone else to see how that goes. But the Joe Gibbs cars, it seems to me that the visual inspection forced them back through the templates. They rectified the situation. They got out there, qualified, and still had speed.
Taking a look at tomorrow on NBCSN. Complete coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Chase Elimination Race from Talladega Superspeedway. NASCAR America at 1 o'clock. Countdown to green served by Sonic at 1:30. And racing from Talladega, followed by Advanced Auto Parts post-race show at Victory Lap. Coming up next, it's Whelen Modified Series racing from Thompson, Connecticut.